Life Audio.
Today on Talk About That, John changes his mind about lunch meat and gets kicked out of a football game. Meanwhile, I turn the tables on a police officer and tell the tale of the human fish. Plus a conversation about self-esteem and the balance between knowing our value versus over-inflating it. Today's episode is not sponsored by coffee. You just woke up. Quick, pour this hot liquid into your face. But first, a word from our actual sponsor.
Pull up a chair. Maybe pull over, Johnny. Let's talk about that.
Tell people to pull over.
You can't sit there and listen while you're driving.
Why don't you step out of the car? Hey, can you take your license out of that plastic thing? So one time when I was a cashier at Home Depot, this officer came in. I guess he was just getting off his shift because he was still in his uniform. And, you know, people would write a check, and I'd have to ask for their ID, and you'd punch in their driver's license number. This is old. This is a very old sentence that I'm
This is
uttering.
right after the Civil War.
But you would put their driver's license. You'd write it on the check. I don't know what that did, but it's just like, aha. And so I would say, can I see your driver's license? You'd confirm it with the check, you know. And this guy just kind of flips open his wallet, and he's a policeman. And I go, can you take it out of that plastic for me? It was so satisfying.
Did he do it?
Yeah, he did. I was the cop that day.
But did you smile or anything? Did you smirk?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think I could contain it. I wasn't as adept at deadpan then. Not that I've mastered it. I feel like I'm a little too goofy. Sometimes I laugh at my own stuff on stage, but I just don't want it to feel like my show's ever just like rote, you know, just like rote, R-O-T-E, meaning I'm just doing this the same ways I did in Topeka, and look out, Tulsa, because this is the same show. Like, right. You want it to feel a little bit more lively, but then you see some comedians and they laugh at every single one of their jokes, the loudest in the room, and that irritates me, but I think you got to find a happy medium.
I think some comedians do that as a part of the act almost.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew one that we both know. I felt like I was pretty certain that he wasn't actually laughing. He did it because it was a part of.
Yeah.
I'm like cracking myself up here, and it makes them crack up more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like part of the rhythm and they're part of the music of what they're doing. Anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't as good at deadpan then, so I was just like, I hoped that he would not be like, you know.
Sir, you're going to need to step outside.
Yeah.
Right.
He just one-ups me.
We had a friend one time that got pulled over in the church parking lot.
Yeah.
And I was mad.
Right, because you feel like this is home base.
Right. I was mad because
made it.
they had set in our church parking lot.
Yeah.
And it was very like...
If you make it here...
And it was just sitting there forever.
It's like, it should be like, the American Embassy.
Yeah.
There's all those movies, those spy movies where if you make it through those gates,
Dude,
it's like,
was right there.
Can't touch me now. How about me now?
It was just like that. It was just like, I don't know. And it was a guy we had just hired. I was like... So I walked out there.
Yeah.
And walked up to my guys, not to the cop car, but to the other guy.
Right.
And the cop gets on his intercom and says, "Step away from the car." And I was just like,
wow.
But we're on private property right now. I didn't say that. I just stepped away from the car.
I know my rights, sir. And that's when John got tased.
I did get drawn on one time.
Oh, wow.
Not with a marker, like with a gun.
Yeah.
And they
fell
were
asleep in the sun. Sadie drew on you.
She just, no, there was our alarm system sometimes gets screwy.
Yeah.
And it had gone off.
Oh yeah, you told me this.
Yeah, and I was like coming to try to turn it back off or whatever, and I didn't realize the cops had already entered the building on the lower level, and so they saw me come up to the top of the stairs, and they didn't like point at me, but they had their weapons drawn. I was like,
could have gone a lot worse.
I was like, "Hey, I'm one of the pastors here. I appreciate that."
Did your voice squeak like that?
Hey, guys, doing?
Hey guys. It was very shaggy.
I always feel like,
old buddy, old pal. I sure could go over a pizza about now.
I always feel like the guy that looks so guilty.
Yeah.
That they're going to think I'm guilty when I'm not.
Yeah.
I am that. You and my wife both tell me those things about myself.
That you look shady? That you look guilty?
That I look like I can't just play it cool.
Yeah.
But I think I'm playing it cool.
No.
And again, we told that story before. But it was a time like that I tried to get into UT game with the wrong student.
You got to tell that. That's a great story.
Yeah, so I was trying to get our buddy Brian, our mutual buddy Brian.
Yeah.
He wanted to go to the game. In students, you can go with your ID, and the tickets. So I had the tickets, but we needed IDs. He wasn't a student. So we found some girl that didn't want to go. And she was like, here's my ticket. Okay. And so I was like, Brian, you take my ID because I'll take the risk here or whatever. You take mine because you're not a student. I'm not kidding, Johnny. We're walking in a crowd. Yeah. It's got to be.
Well, first of all, tell the story about the girl because you showed up. She showed up to give you the ID, and she thought it was like, this means that this is a date now.
I kind of forgot about that.
Because we called, for years, we called her by this because this is what she said to you. She goes, you walk in, and she goes, you go, hey, thanks so much for doing this. She goes, what up?
She said, what up?
So we called her the what up girl forever.
And I didn't.
And listen, what up girl, if you're out there.
It was amazing.
It's just a misunderstanding.
It was.
He didn't know this was like.
No, I just was getting
She thought goods and services were being exchanged.
I don't know what she thought.
She thought, I got a shot. I got a shot with this guy. I'm doing a favor for you. Let's go to dinner. Yeah. That's what she thought.
She never asked me out or anything.
But she said, what up? You said she looked you up and down and said, what up?
She did. I remember. And even someone who doesn't get looked at a lot like me recognized it. But
yeah. Anyway, so you're going through. So now you're at the game after rejecting this poor girl.
Go through. You scan your thing at the gate. It goes right through. We're inside the I don't know what you call that. The concourses.
Right.
Johnny, there has to be because it holds 110,000 people at that time. Uh-huh. I have to be walking in a crowd of 10,000 people. There's just the cop standing up there, and he's just looking at over everybody.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I'm right in the middle.
Yeah.
He goes, "Hey, you, come over here. Let me see your ID." Yeah.
You just had a very.
I don't know.
You looked like you were getting away with something.
I don't even think I looked at him.
Yeah.
I don't even think how did he know? And they threw us out of the game.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was a student.
I don't remember that part of it. That's wild.
It was an Alabama game too. I remember that. Oh. And we went back to your house or Brian's house and watched it there, I think.
Did we win?
Probably.
We were beating Alabama back then.
Yeah, this would have been
Jason Witten and
this would have been like 19.
There was the one Alabama game that went like 7 overtimes that Jason Witten caught the game winner.
Yeah.
That was Alabama, right? That was a great one.
Those were the days.
Man. You know, I have a Jason Witten signed football helmet.
Really?
Like a little mini helmet. It was a gift to me from Gateway Church in Dallas because that's where he attends.
Yeah.
So I did a conference for them, and they were like, they'd give you these gift bags. Some of these churches go way too far, and you're like, God, this is a lot. But that one, I was like, oh, that's kind of personal because they know I'm a Vols fan.
That's
pretty
huge.
Good. He goes there. So it wasn't like that big of a deal. You get a little plastic helmet, and you go, hey, sign this. It was not like they spent a bunch of money.
So it's not a real helmet?
No. I mean, unless you have a tiny head. Be like a real helmet for your dog or something. But don't put football helmets on your dogs.
No, guys, we do not endorse that.
Unless they're playing football, and that helps them not get CTE.
Well, that's true.
Canine TE. Whatever the other.
Traumatic.
Wait, there's...
What's the E?
No, it's something... Encephalopathy is the E.
Oh, wow.
I don't know why I know that
one.
How
did you know that and not the T?
It's chronic traumatic encephalopathy? No. That can't be what it is.
That sounds...
There's no way to know. Hold on.
Concussion.
Hey, ask your phone. It'll tell us.
Hey, ask your... Why won't I ask mine?
I don't ask mine because it's recording and it'll mess up the recording.
We don't ask. Guys, send us your cards and letters.
Cranial...
I know
encephalopathy. Encephalopathy is the E.
Well, that, Johnny, that is impressive.
Anyway, if your dog's playing football, just be careful.
Just guys, there's. I can't tell you how many dogs I know.
My dogs walk around like they have played football for 10 years.
Right.
They look like old retired. You know how those guys that are retired from they walk a certain way. They're hunched over and they just like they've been in 3,000 car crashes.
Right.
In the NFL.
Yeah.
That's my dogs. You know my dogs take basically like what is it? They take anti-inflammatories every day. They're like powerful drugs just so they don't limp.
Interesting. Like chondroitin, is that what it's called?
No. They take like real drugs. Like what is it called? It's like almost like Ultram, or like a human would take.
Interesting.
I think they're technically an opiate. So my dogs take opioids.
Well, no wonder they're walking around all...
Yeah, they're stoned. But we have to give it to them in ham.
This canine opioid crisis...
It is so bad.
Opioids. Sorry, I couldn't get it out.
I wrote a joke one time. Wouldn't it be ironic if Ron Howard was addicted to opioids? It didn't go as far as I thought it should have. I didn't get the attention. It's very dark, but it's just like Ron Howard played Opie.
Opie, guys. Opie.
So wouldn't it be ironic? It'd be sad, but also kind of funny. Okay.
That was dark. There's a couple jokes that you just go, it's probably always too soon.
Yeah.
Like you used to have I'm not going to say it.
No, don't say it. Because if it's too soon,
it was always
stops
too soon.
doing. But anyway.
Someone had an Abraham Lincoln assassination joke or something. And
yeah.
I was like, it's always too soon.
Always too soon for an Abraham Lincoln?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not down for that.
Anyway, my dogs get ham every day with a pill in it.
You're not supposed to eat ham for your dog.
What are you talking about?
You can't have pork.
Yeah, they can, John.
No.
You're crazy.
Well, yeah, but unrelated to that, they're not supposed to have ham.
My dogs eat ham.
Wow.
My dogs eat a lot of table
That
food.
explains a lot about their conditions.
No, their conditions are
You're going to go Google
arthritic.
this now.
Listen, so they get their special feel-good ham.
Feel good ham.
And they think it's medicinal. They think that the ham is what's doing them. They're like, I felt so awful.
Before the ham.
Had some ham. Feel good. So,
Hey, I think that's a good spot, Johnny.
oh, do
Because
you?
who knows? Maybe there's going to be a
Maybe
ham
like an Oscar
advertisement.
Mayer ad come
something could
through.
follow right here. Let's take a moment to hear a word from a few of our sponsors. I did not like cold cuts for a long, long time.
I don't care for them.
And now
I think it's because you get it. Because you were out mowing, right? And you just get a ham sandwich or a bologna
A lot.
sandwich, and it's hot in a bag. You're eating it under a tree.
and it was a
There's
good
grass clippings all over it.
and it was a good memory because we would eat as a family because there's a
Yeah.
family business, you know.
But it felt like kind of like you take it to lunch at school, and everybody's kind of comparing and contrasting lunches with other kids. And if you've got like salami or bologna,
yeah.
some other kids got PB&J. You
Yeah.
feel like, come on, man.
PB&J is like dessert
Yeah,
with some protein in it.
right.
I love PB&J.
Yeah.
But I've come around now.
Come around on cold cuts.
Yeah, I'm back.
This
to
is
it.
big news. This is
This is
breaking
huge.
news from John.
We've been
I was wondering when you were going to come around on cold cuts.
I'll tell you, it's
You know, they say, how do you do 300 podcasts? This is how.
you talk about
This is
cold
how.
cuts.
You just scrape the bottom of the barrel. That's how. You go, this seems like it'd be interesting
It's
to
be
people.
interesting talk.
I like Subway. I think that's the good chain.
maybe that's a cue that it's time, Johnny.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's time for us to do a little segment that we like to call.
Yeah.
They talked about that.
I felt like I tested the emergency broadcast system there at the end. This is only a test. Remember that? You don't see that anymore. Have they done enough tests and they don't need it?
They don't need it anymore.
We don't do those tests, the emergency.
They passed.
If you're young, you don't remember that. You don't know this, but this thing, like you'd be watching TV and then you hear like, this is a test of the, and it would be like, boop, and you see this long beep. And it's so annoying. You turn your TV down and then they go, if this were an actual emergency,
Right.
it would be followed by news and whatever. And you go,
Oh.
But have you ever been in an emergency when they go, this is not a test, look out? Has it ever worked that
No.
way? Okay. Anyway, they don't do that anymore. And I don't know why. They must have
Maybe
just
they do it and we just don't watch regular television anymore.
I guess they send everybody a text alert now. You get like a,
Right.
yeah. Which that happened a couple of years ago where there was somebody that people in Hawaii got a text alert about like an incoming something, like
Yeah.
a weather event or a nuclear attack or something. It was really like severe.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, sorry, our bad.
No, I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, it was no
It's
good.
a big deal. By the way, harmonizing reminded me of an email we received from a listener.
Oh, by the way, John, how would a listener send such an email?
You know what? They would email hello@talkaboutthatpodcast.com.
Talkaboutthatpodcast.com is your home for all the archived episodes as well. You can also support the show by going there, but also send us a note. We love hearing from you guys.
By the way, I saw the first draft of the new website. It's not
And?
live yet, but it was going to be pretty nice. Real nice, Clark.
You bring it to me when it's on third draft.
Okay, yeah.
I'm
We
the
don't
third-
like to
I'm the-
bother with Johnny.
I'm the third draft guy.
He's only got
When it's done and you're ready for me to see something,
such limited time.
don't bring me these scraps.
No, like those of us who do the real work, Johnny's
you.
doesn't have time. By the way, Tyler writes, for whatever reason, I loved it when y'all started harmonizing at the end of the theme music for They Talked About That. And I spent every episode since dreading the day that you stop. Please don't stop. In fact, never stop harmonizing. Isn't that just like our lives? Love the show, Tyler. Man, that's a great email,
is. It
Tyler.
is just like our
you
lives.
did a lot of things there. One, you
Don't point it all out, John.
you
You're
paid us a
ruining it.
compliment, and
Yeah,
we appreciate
boy.
that. But also, I appreciate you using one of our catchphrases.
He's got a little inside baseball there.
Isn't that just like our lives? Is that on the bingo card?
Probably.
I don't remember.
Won't that'll preach probably or some
Yeah.
some iteration of it.
Yeah, some iteration.
Some iteration and alliteration.
Yeah. Oh,
Won't that?
well, won't it though? So today is from, some people say Henry Nouwen, but his name is actually Henri Nouwen.
Oh,
yeah.
is it?
Yeah, that's how you pronounce it.
I've been saying it wrong the whole time.
Yeah, but if you say Henry, it's okay.
Okay.
How do you pronounce pretentious?
I say knowing.
I like to say pretentious. Anyway, he says self-rejection is the greatest enemy of the spiritual life because it contradicts the sacred voice that calls us the beloved. Being the beloved constitutes the core truth of our existence. I mean, I just thought self-rejection, man.
Yeah, that's it's interesting.
It is, because it goes against some of the maybe evangelical virtue that we know that says you got to keep trying harder, right?
Yeah, or like humble yourself or you will be humbled. So you have to walk into every situation with zero confidence in any of your ability because it's pride. Pride will cause pride, and pride goes before the fall. So you can't carry yourself with any kind of confidence. You always have to be like abasing yourself,
right,
and self-deprecating, saying, well, no, I'm nothing. I believe there's a time and a place to like know when you've lost your way. But yeah, like you said, we kind of were raised to believe that like anytime you're not rejecting yourself, like almost like low self-esteem is just common sense.
Yeah.
Like, well, look, you should have low self-esteem. You got nothing going for you except for Jesus.
No, it really is. I think it's also the gospel of self-improvement.
Yeah.
It's the idea of you. I can't tell any kids over the years and adults are like, well, how do you really know that you're okay with God, right? What if I'm not the one? I'm that one, right? I'm the one that thinks it. Mm-hmm. It says Lord, Lord, and did great things in Jesus' name, but he doesn't know me,
Yeah.
So there's that feeling of it. But I think, man, in the last few years, probably the last 10 years, I mean, now one's nailing it for me in terms of what brings a real sense of transformation and change. And that is like, and it's hard though. It is humbling to allow yourself to be called beloved.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You'd think it'd be the opposite of that.
Well, yeah, because we have to admit we don't deserve that love. So that's part of it. It's like God sees something in you that says like, yeah, you do deserve it. But we can't earn it. So we're not earning the love. It's a tricky thing. There's a balance to be struck between like a prideful position of like, and like you said, somebody being self-made.
Yep.
And taking all the credit for everything in their life versus this other thing of just like constantly deflecting any praise, constantly not sure of yourself, walking into every room, not knowing if you belong there, imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
That's not healthy either.
No, it's not. And I think understanding the foundation of getting past the buzzwords like grace,
Yeah.
Or that I'm valuable before God. I don't think I'm deserving, but I think I am valuable, and to act like I'm not.
Well, he made you, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So there's value in that.
There's a divinely inherited value.
Right.
And then I've been reading some C.S. Lewis on this, just sort of the gamble that God has taken with what he's done with us, and allowing us to reject him. But it speaks also to not just a value. God actually, I believe, shows respect to humanity in that way. Mm-hmm. Because again, if God expects us to show respect, then he would too, right? Doesn't mean he's not in charge, or doesn't. I'm not saying that it diminishes any of his, power, and to do whatever he wants to do. I'm just saying I think that there is a sense of dignity and value that we should feel as, inherited part of creation.
Yeah.
And that we have that legacy that comes from our Father. So, yeah, I mean, I love it, the beloved. And I will say this, I'll close this part with this. Beloved here in his quote is capital B. And so it's almost like to call ourselves the thing that God calls Jesus. Mm-hmm. And I had this, you've heard this before, Johnny. I don't know if everyone else has, but when you have one kid like I do, mm-hmm. I realized that I can call her my favorite.
Yeah.
Right? Because I don't have another. And so Jesus is God's only begotten son, right? This is his only son. And those of us who are in Christ, and that's the phrasing Scripture uses, I do believe, and this sounds almost like prosperity gospel stuff to me,
right,
to say it, but it's been so liberating, and I think it's necessary. We can dial back way too far the other way, that we almost remove the correct emotions from the gospel, the correct parts of how our connection is to him. And so I believe that in Christ, I receive also that I can be his favorite. It's not because I'm the only one, but because I'm in the only one.
Right. It's it's an inheritance.
Yep.
That's good.
I want to write a book called "I'm God's Favorite." Like, but it would be so misleading of a title because you'd think, "My gosh, what's wrong with this guy?" But what you're really saying is if I humble myself and I live in Christ, then I am looked upon as God's favorite as he looks upon his son. So anyway.
I want to write a book about you called, My Gosh, What's Wrong with This Guy?
Well, I think that would sell.
Yeah.
Nothing else is sold, but I think you're onto something.
It's like a finger pointing outward. It's never pointing inward. It's always pointing like, what's wrong with this guy?
This guy. Literally my face is right there. I like it.
Yeah. That's good. It's a good quote.
Yeah.
I never heard that one. Henri. Now one?
Now one, I think.
You're not sure?
I can't do the last name, but I know.
Yeah, without knowing? Is that what you were going to say? Hey, now.
He is from, where is he from?
It's Noel. It's very hard to say. Henri Noel.
He's from the Netherlands.
Well, there you go.
So that's,
yeah.
I don't speak Netherlandish.
I remember when you went to Iceland and the Netherlands on the missions trip, and you had to preach at something. Didn't you go preach while you were there?
I preached in Iceland, yeah.
I said, please be careful not to say it's so great to be down in the nether regions.
There is a big difference in the Netherlands.
There is. That's a difference. There's different things.
A whole different thing.
Yeah. All right, John, it's my time.
Okay.
It's time for This Week in History. We call it Talk About Then. John, this week, 1931, at a height of 1,250 feet, it was the world's tallest building. It opened in New York City. What building, John?
31? This is Empire State Building.
Empire State Building.
Yeah.
I did not know that at that time it was the world's tallest building.
Yeah.
Which I guess, all the other countries try to outdo you. So I think there's ones in like, I don't know, overseas somewhere.
I think there's Dubai, I think
Dubai,
it may have
and then they have the ones that has the catwalk between the two. Where's that at?
I want to say either Singapore or Hong Kong may have,
There's one stuff I can't remember, but yeah, there's other buildings. We just kind of outdo each other.
There's no way to know.
Where is the tallest building?
The outdoing of one another. You need to watch, Johnny.
Oh,
I always tell you, but this is Ken Burns' documentary.
The buildings that built America.
The buildings. Ken Burns' documentary on New York City will. Yeah, it's fascinating because they go through that part of race to the sky.
Sure,
thing, yeah.
I've seen a few of the New York City things. Because I like to watch a lot of true crime, and there's the one about the RICO cases that Giuliani put together and finally put a bunch of the mob guys away and tried to clean up the city. And a ton of it was about the building contracts and the concrete. You couldn't get an ounce of concrete moved without these mob guys being involved in the unions. So it's every building that was built in New York City during that time was just it's so rife with mob influence. Yeah. Well, it's not going to happen unless you want, you got to get in bed with us. We have to take a cut of everything. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So really the mob built America. Is that what we're
saying? I wonder if the mob came on board with the podcast, would we grow?
What would something like that look like?
How much was something like that cost?
Protection from other podcasts, maybe?
Absolutely.
Like an enforcer?
Hey. Listen, I'm sick of being intimidated.
Would they want to be a third guest? Would there be gabagool? Like a big bowl of gabagool?
What if they just sat here with their arms folded? We just had a strong man, He didn't really want to say anything. But what if we won him over time? Anybody,
not us, would be considered a strong man. Yeah. If you put three guys in a room and two of them are us, the other one is the strong man.
It's pretty, that's accurate.
John Charles Zimmy was born this week, 1893. He was known as the human fish because he was an American legless swimmer. In 1937, he swam from Albany to New York City, a distance of 150 miles.
Holy cow.
He had lost his legs at age 9 in an accident, and his legless body provided enough buoyancy to float while he slept. Wow. So that's one of the ways he was able to do it.
Wow.
Remember, did we have another story about a guy who was a legless pilot?
And
he had all this success, and part of it was his leglessness gave him.
Fascinating, yeah.
Is it possible we don't really need legs?
I don't think that's possible. I just think it's
Are these extra?
That is interesting.
Yeah. Just a way they overcome.
How people will overcome. Yeah. That's fascinating. Are these extra?
Yeah. I'm very buoyant, but for other reasons.
Right. I always say, because I don't carry my weight I always say I have a spare tire around me all the time.
Yeah.
And so, like, if I'm really feeling insecure, if we're on a boat or something, I'll be like, hey, if this goes down, everybody just hang on to me. I'll be bobbing like a buoy, And then they're like, John, you're being stupid. You're fine.
Yeah,
so,
that's you being
Right, so me.
Yourself being self-critical, being self-destructive.
Yeah, I need to stop doing that.
Yeah, come on, John.
I'm sorry, guys.
Why don't you take it easy, my buddy John? He's a good guy.
He's...
inventor of the friction match, John Walker, died this week, 1859. I hope it's not going to be because of the matches.
A match factory or something caught fire.
He was an English chemist. He invented the friction match in 1826. I didn't know it'd been all around that long. His matches consisted of wooden splints or sticks of cardboard tipped with a mixture of sulfide and antimony, chlorate or potash, and gum so that they would ignite. When scratched on a rough surface, they were coated in sulfur to cause the flame to ignite the wood. The price of a box of 50 matches, John? 1 shilling. I don't know what 1 shilling would be in today's money. Maybe a few cents. Each box included a folded piece of sandpaper through which the match had to be drawn to ignite it. Early matches, this is the part I was interested by. Early matches including Walker's, were dangerous as flaming balls of fire would sometimes pall the floor, burning carpets and dresses, leading to their ban in France and Germany. This is the part I loved. Walker refused to patent his idea, feeling it was too trivial of an invention.
Wow.
I mean, we have a ton of those that happen in This Week in History where somebody's just like, you know
fine.
what?
Yeah.
That dumb.
What are we overlooking of our own brilliance now?
That's immediately what I thought. I thought, what ideas do I think are too trivial, but I could be just, man.
I feel like they're all trivial.
Yeah.
Yeah. With us, it's true. Like, there's nothing that...
I had a friend that said, you ever have a friend that says that they invented something that was already invented?
I am
or
that
they think
friend.
they had that idea. They go, but I had the idea for that like 10 years ago. I just didn't have the money or wherewithal or knowledge or... Like, I had a friend who said he invented wireless headphones. Like, the ones... Because this was back when you could have, like, a stereo system, and then you could have, like, a transmitter, and you could listen to your stereo wirelessly. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I invented that when I was a kid. Did you, though?
Johnny, I legitimately...
oh, boy. This is going to be about the emojis thing,
It is.
isn't it?
I invented memojis, which are... The Apple eventually even named them that. My sister-in-law and I had the idea, talked it out, met with a developer. We just couldn't get any traction, didn't have the...
Do you think that developer maybe...
I don't know.
Took your idea and...
But now they've not only used that idea, and they adapted it.
They still have those commercials, though. Invent help. It's like George Foreman.
Right.
Write your ideas on these papers, mail them to us, and we'll tell you if it's a good idea. It's like, I don't know about it. It's like you put all your gold in a bag and send it to webuygold.com. It's like, we'll take it from here.
Right. It's
Hey, what do you know? We didn't get your gold.
Got lost in the mail.
Come on, man.
Remember the guy, we told that story before, but when we did our first album.
Yeah.
And that's what he was like, hey, listen, you got a bunch of other songs, right? Do me a favor, just write the lyrics on this piece of paper with this letterhead.
Right.
And I was like,
this looks like the letterhead to your record label.
It was your publishing company.
Why do all you guys freak out about this? Like he was very like
he was
mad
very
about
upset. I said,
you being suspicious.
If I do this, does this mean I'm publishing my music with you? Which is a big deal. Music publishing is different than book publishing,
Yeah.
It means he has all the rights, is what it means.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, technically, yes. I was like, what are you? No. We're not doing this.
Yeah, I don't like it.
And now I am an award-winning songwriter, so I'm so glad I didn't let someone else get involved.
Man, did you dodge a bullet?
Boy.
You wouldn't be a multi-millionaire like you are now.
Who would have thought that I would be so unsuccessful? All right, go ahead.
Finally, John, born this week, 1750, died 1780.
Wow, that's a short life.
Well, you'll see why in a minute. The reason I wanted to bring this guy up, because do you know who John Andre is?
No.
John Andre was a British officer who assisted Benedict Arnold in the failed attempt to surrender West Point, New York, to the British during the American Revolution. He was caught by the Continental Army and hanged as a spy. Benedict Arnold escaped and was commissioned as a brigadier general to the British Army and later fought against colonial troops that he had previously commanded. So that's why Benedict Arnold goes on to be like, he literally switched sides.
Wow.
But this guy who tried to help him with the coup,
Yeah.
he
It's
tried
treason.
to help them. And he was hanged, but we don't associate him with treason.
Right.
Benedict Arnold we associate with treason. Oh, you're a Benedict Arnold. Nobody says you're a John Andre.
Well, maybe it's because Benedict Arnold got away with it.
Well, he didn't. I mean, I guess he did, but...
Yeah, he went on to have his career with the British. I forget what he did after the fact, but that's the thing. Now, he got to live in infamy. You know what I'm saying? This guy died in.
I had a drink that I had an idea for one time, and it was a Benedict Arnold Palmer.
Yeah.
It's a third tea, a third lemonade, and a third betrayal. What do you think?
I like it.
Thanks very much. Anyway, John Andre, he kind of skated by my way of thinking.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's like there were other people with Paul Revere that don't get credit.
Right.
Like I think you had a guy named Dawes.
Yeah. John, right?
Maybe William Dawes.
No, William.
Anyway, he's out there saying British are coming too. It's not like, hey, I'm only going to be the one that shouts. Is everybody writing this down? Like, you know, they didn't tell Dawes to hush up. So he's saying it too, but it's like the midnight ride of Paul Revere. It's like, come on, dude. Meanwhile, this guy gets away with treason based. I mean, he didn't get away with it.
No, he didn't get away with it at all.
But I'm saying, like, he's not known as the treason guy.
No. But again, he paid the piper.
He's not known as the reason for the treason. Benedict Arnold is the reason for the treason.
That's, wow.
But not John Andre. Anyway, we're calling you out, Andre. I apologize if there's anybody out there who's
related to.
Maybe related to. We don't want to besmirch your entire family. It's not your fault. Sometimes you have people in your family that do bad stuff.
Yeah. Hey, it happens. Sometimes you got good friends that do bad stuff. Sometimes you do a podcast with a friend that does bad stuff.
I feel like.
Wait.
Anyway,
Johnny, there's a police officer right through the door.
He's drawing on us.
He's we call that.
You pushed a silent alarm. We need a silent alarm when things start going a little sideways.
That'd be great.
Okay. Well, anyway,
I don't know how you'd hear it, but
yeah. Well,
you know, Johnny, if they wanted to listen to other episodes of the podcast, where would they go?
talkaboutthatpodcast.com. We don't even need the www. Do we need the www?
No, we don't need it.
People didn't like saying www. I think that's why it went away.
www. It's hard.
Go to www. Yeah, it's just too much. You just feel like it's like Foghorn Leghorn.
Yeah. www. I do declare.
Porky Pig, maybe?
It's very.
www.
Is that Porky? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, Porky
I
Pig.
did a Foghorn Leghorn impression of www, but it didn't make any sense.
It didn't because I was wrong.
You threw the wrong character out, but I went right into it.
You did.
Because I do impressions, obviously.
Yes, John's a very world-renowned impressionist.
Everyone knows that. But you know what, Johnny? You get a good impression if you watch the podcast and don't just listen. And where could they go to watch?
YouTube.com/
YouTube.com.
Is it not www.youtube.com?
Just go to our website. There's a YouTube link.
Oh, that's right. There's a link there. And you can subscribe to that channel there, too.
It's like saying, how would you search for something? Google.com.
Well, I'm saying YouTube is it's where we publish our episodes.
It was foolish, Johnny.
I apologize. I've been a fool this whole time. What do you know?
You should check out Johnny's travel dates because they are aplenty.
John's got a couple of books he's working on, too, that are coming out.
Just turned in a manuscript yesterday. Yeah.
How do you like that?
Yeah. I mean, it was fun. It's fun to get that off the plate. And I'm writing that doesn't mean it's going to get made or something, but I'm writing a movie screenplay.
Okay.
So that's fun.
A treatment, if you will.
Yeah, it's a rough draft, if you will. I told someone
hopefully won't get any rough treatment.
Am I right? So that I was like, every time you write something for the first time, it's a rough draft.
Isn't that
you know
true?
What I'm saying?
Won't that?
Come on now, won't it?
Come on.
I think it will.
Some of y'all are in the rough draft of your lives, and you need to go through that editing, that refining process.
That's right.
He's bringing some. Listen, your final form, you've not reached it yet, but don't despise the days of your youth.
No,
that rough draft. Something's being made out of you.
Listen, the author and the finisher.
We need to dot some I's and say, hey, that semicolon doesn't belong there.
It doesn't belong. No one even knows what it does.
Right.
Right.
But you're going to make it, you guys. Just be encouraged this week.
Yeah.
Or maybe you won't, but we hope you will because we need the listens.
Yeah,
honestly.
Either way, pass this along to a friend. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Let your dying words be, talk about that podcast.
Please subscribe. They need help.
What was he listening to when he passed? This is nonsense, but...
Take the earphones out of his ears. Yeah. Let me hear. Wow, that was dark.
That was dark.
We do dark things here sometimes.
That's okay.
Guys, thank you for listening. We'll do it again next week on
Talk About That.